Okay, now we've already looked at structs and now you can use them to structure your data. When you're working with HTTP and APIs, you often need to convert that data into JSON. And so in this one, we're going to have a look at structs and also JSON tags, which help you sort of name your fields and help you structure your JSON responses. Okay, so let's have a demo and this will show you the usefulness of JSON tags. So here we've started out with a struct and we've called it user, two fields on there, name and email. Now, can you remember the rules around structs and fields which are exportable and not exportable? So in order for these to be exportable, i.e. to be able to be used in other packages, these would need to be uppercase. But when you're sending back JSON, often you might want to just have them as lowercase, like so. And so here we have a problem because when we go to Marshal this, i.e. when we go to convert it to JSON, those uppercase letters are going to be preserved. But we want to be able to use this struct in other packages. So how do we overcome this? First of all, let's just see what happens when we encode this, or when we marshal this. So I'm calling the marshal method on the encoding JSON package. And if we go on just to read what this does. Okay, so this is its main functionality. Marshal returns the JSON encoding of V. So V in our case being this user. It will return the JSON encoded data and also an error. Just using underscore here because I don't expect any problems with this. Let's go and print out the data. So print line, and you'll see I'm using string to cast the data to a string because, as you can see, the actual return type is a slice of bytes. So we want that in string format, and that's why we've had to do that here. So let's go and see what we get here. Go run main.go. Sorry, I had the package name wrong there. Let's try again. Go run main.go. All right, so as you can see, we have a JSON object, but look at the keys. They are in uppercase. Now, one other thing which you also should know about JSON encoding is that only exported fields are included in JSON encoding. So when we marshal here, these have to be uppercase letters. If we changed name to name lowercase, it wouldn't actually appear in the encoded JSON. Let me show you. So it doesn't get exported, so all we see is email. And so tags help us overcome this problem. So let's change those back. And we'll now use struct tags to control how the fields are encoded. So after we declare the name string here, what we do is backticks and then JSON, so we're saying that this is a JSON tag, and then we decide how we're going to name the field. And so here I'm going to choose name lowercase. You can actually call it what you like, and we'll demonstrate that soon. For email, we'll do the same thing. When we encode this as JSON, what we want the field to be called is email lowercase. Okay, so if I go and run this now, as you can see, the name field starts, or the name key starts with lowercase, as does email. And just to prove that we can actually call it anything, we'll call name foo, we'll call email bar. Let's go and run this. Okay, so I have foo Alice and bar Alice at example.com. So when you use these tags, these JSON tags, you can actually call the fields whatever you like. It gives you complete control over this struct and how it is encoded. And by the way, in the Build Your First Go App course, we build a realistic API and we do all of this stuff that you've seen here. We create structs, we use JSON tags, we send back JSON encoded responses. And so you get to put all the stuff that you've learned in Go Bytes into practice in a real project. If you want more details, I'll leave some information down in the description. change those back. And let me show you something else which you can also use. Say for example, we don't always have an email to provide. In those scenarios, you can add this extra option, omitempty, which means that if there is no email, we won't be including an empty email string or anything like that, and this will still work. So if we go and run this now, as you can see, we just get name Alice. If we didn't use that, let's see what would happen. We get email and an empty string. So what we're doing there by using omitempty is saying if we don't have an email, just don't include it in the actual JSON output. And that of course is really useful when fields are optional. Alright, so I think you've got enough there to have a go at the challenge. Write a program that defines a struct called product, includes fields for ID, name and price, add JSON tags so the output keys are ID, name and price lowercase, and then code a product to JSON and print it. And then just check that your JSON keys match your tags exactly. If you want to play around with omitempty, you could maybe do that with price. I'm sure you can do this. Pause me now and give that a go. Okay, so this is what I've come up with. I didn't tell you what types to use. I thought I'd let you have a go at figuring that out or guessing that yourself. But for ID, I've gone with int, and I've JSON encoded it as ID lowercase, just like in the instructions. Name, again, just name lowercase. Price, I've gone with a float 64, and we've said price for the key name. We've also said omitempty in case we don't actually have a price value. So hopefully you've got that bit there. That shouldn't have posed you any problems. Then we go and initialize a product. This is how we initialize a struct. So product, opening curlies, we've gone with an ID of 1, name of notebook. Because we said it's a float 64, we can give it a float value, price $9.99. Now, if you notice, I also included omitempty there, so we'll test that out also in a second. But for now, let's Marshal this, meaning let's JSON encode this. Don't need to do anything with the error, so I've just used the underscore, the blank identifier. Check out the lesson on that if you're not really sure what that means. And then we're grabbing the data. That comes back as a slice of bytes. So we convert it to a string, and then we are printing it out using printline. Let's go and run this, see what happens. So we have an object with 3 fields, ID lowercase 1, name lowercase notebook, price lowercase $9.99. Notice no quotes around integers or floats, quotes only around strings. All right, so let's go and try to remove the price, and we'll see what happens here. Go run main.go, and so there we see ID and name. Okay, a little bit of revision, a little bit of thinking back in time. How about if we don't have omitempty, but we also don't provide a price? What key and value do you expect to see here for the price? Think about things like 0 values, if you remember going back a long way. Go run main.go. So what we do see is the 0 value for that. So we haven't actually provided a price value or a price field. But if we don't use omitempty, what it will do is it will use the 0 value for a float 64. And so, thinking about it, that could be quite misleading, couldn't it? Because you could be saying, is the price 0, or are you giving this away for free? When in fact, you've not actually provided a price when you initialize the product. And so, in those scenarios, it's best when things are optional, always best to include omitempty, and then there's no ambiguity. You're just telling the client, this is the details I have for the notebook. I know the ID, I know the name, but I don't have any information on the price that I can give you. So there you've seen structs and struct tags and JSON struct tags. Hope you found this one useful. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you give the video a like. Make sure that you're subscribed if you want YouTube to show you more Go Bytes. And remember what I said about the Build Your First Go app course. If you want to put all of this stuff into practice in a realistic project, that's the place to do it. The information is down in the description. See you in the next one.